Hello, my loves. So I'm finally back with the victim, savior, perpetrator dynamic being replaced with the self-love, personal responsibility, and healthy boundaries triangle. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how this was born and downloaded from my higher self. I really was in these deeper states as I continue to be of unraveling any energies of codependency so that I can drop more deeply into the essence of interdependence and actually showing up in my full, true, authentic energies as much as possible. And so I also looked at the way that the world is and how all the overlays and old dynamics really are set up in a very codependent manner. And so I really needed to find a remedy that was realistic for navigating our world, right? Practical versus like running away from every situation that was codependent. It was really about finding a solution of how I could choose to participate or not in what parts of the relationships or dynamics would be appropriate for me to be a part of. In my situation that originally started out, I was in a situation where I had a dynamic of two other people that were calling me in different perspectives, right? In different ways, but they were both talking to me about their specific dynamic. And what I was noticing was that each of them were coming to me in the victim role and portraying the other as the perpetrator. And I could see both people's dynamics, and I could see where and how it was playing out. Now I had a choice to play into that, or what I did was actually redirect each of them back to themselves, first and foremost, to take personal responsibility for themselves, to focus on learning healthy boundaries and finding ways to support themselves. So, what I did is I took my triangle of focusing on my self love, like how could I show up for myself? Where can I be responsible for my part in this dynamic? And where can I have healthy boundaries around not allowing myself to be sucked into something that had nothing to do with me and wasn't appropriate for me to be a part of, but still interact in these relationships in a healthy and loving, compassionate manner? This is where my self-love, healthy boundary, personal responsibility triangle not only supported me in my boundaries and my stabilization, but I was also able to share that back with the two other people and again redirect them to the new triangle. And then they were in a position where they didn't have a savior. They had to step into becoming their own savior. They had to start taking personal responsibility, looking at their own triggers, or taking responsibility for where they might have needed healthy boundaries or where it was time to stop projecting onto the other for being responsible for their own responsibilities. There was a lot within it. Even as I'm speaking to you, I can sort of see where the old dynamic has everybody projecting, right? Projecting outward that somebody else has to do something so that they can get what they want. But the truth of the matter is that the true solutions are within ourselves. And the more we can provide those solutions for ourselves, the less we're depending on others. Again, this is not about going into a ultra independent, screw everybody mentality. This is actually self-sourcing first, right? And then encouraging others to self-source, to self-soothe, to find solutions. Because when you find those internal solutions for yourself, or you even take the codes and the keys of my process that I'm sharing with you, and you take those and you make them your own. You expand on them or take the pieces that work. You are now becoming the embodiment of your own version of that solution. And when you become the embodiment of your own solution, now you hold it Now you can provide that for yourself. And as you're embodying it and holding it, it becomes easier to stabilize within that and not absorb other people's projections, to not absorb other people's responsibilities, to not feel that you are required to fulfill someone else's responsibilities or projections, right? Everybody is being called into self responsibility. And I had this vision many years ago that if each person actually redirected themselves back to being personally responsible, a lot of the things that we see on our planet, a lot of the problems would start to resolve. Because when we're finding our own solutions, we're not sitting back in victim mode expecting someone else to do it for us, and we're not projecting onto a perpetrator that someone did something to us that hurt us. Even if someone actually did do something inappropriate, acknowledge it. Put up a healthy boundary. Take a step back. But then now you're responsible to understand, okay, how did I allow that to happen in my space? What can I do to shore up my boundaries? How can I be responsible for that part, my part in that dynamic? Where can I be self-loving, right? Take responsibility for my part instead of sitting in victim mode, feeling sorry for yourself. Acknowledge all the parts of the dynamic. Acknowledge where you were responsible for part of the dynamic. It's all okay. It's not about blaming. It's a huge opportunity to drop into the dynamic and say, okay, this was in my field because I participated within it. Maybe it caught me off guard. Maybe I didn't expect that to happen. But the truth of the matter is that it did. And maybe it's not okay for someone to treat me that way. So I'm going to do the self-loving, personally responsible thing and set a healthy boundary within that space. Then I'm going to take a step back, process my part of it, acknowledge the truth of the dynamic. What could I learn from it? What can I do different? What underlying energies can I unravel and clean up? Where can I embody deeper into myself? Right. And then also knowing where to return the responsibility of the other person and their part of the dynamic to them for them to process their part. Right. You focus on yours, you be personally responsible. Right. And so I'm going to see if I can share this with you. Here we go. So I have this victim, abuser, savior process, right? And I did come up with some slides so that you can see this process. You can pause it, you can screenshot it, you can save it in your playlists and really just look at the dynamics and look at how you can release yourself from it. You don't have to get rid of all your relationships. You just choose how you participate, my loves. You choose what you will participate in, focusing back to yourself, maintaining a sense of love and compassion and healthy boundaries. Hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Take care.